Are you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Rausch will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch. Today's episode is part of the Mastering Excellence series. Now, if you haven't heard any of these yet, this is a concept that comes from my background in neuro-linguistic programming, where we learn that there is a structure to excellence. And as you start to understand the structure of where somebody is getting exceedingly exceptional results in their business or in their life, you can break that structure, take it and apply it. You can break it down, take it and apply it to your own life and business so that you get similar results. So that's what we're going to talk about today, one of these Mastering Excellence series. Today's guest is the amazing, brilliant Shelli Warren. Now, if you haven't met or connected with Shelli, let me tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to welcome her to the show. Shelli Warren is a team and leadership coach and the host of the BizChix sister podcast, Stacking Your Team. If you're not listening to that yet, go listen. So at BizChix Inc., Shelli leverages her 26 years of experience leading technical teams to deliver multi-million-dollar projects for billion-dollar brands at Procter Gamble Inc. to now help small business owners to hire, fire, and inspire an incredible team of high performers. Shelli is also known for her teaching style, her passion to inspire more women leaders, and her ability to say the right thing in delicate situations. She lives in Canada, where she coaches BizChix clients across the globe, and she spends her Flow Fridays with her daughter, Danielle, and her grandbaby, Ellie. Shelli Warren, welcome to the show, friend.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you said yes. Shelli knows this because I say this to her, but I feel like I'm one of her super fans. I've been a fan of Shelli's for a really long time, and I feel super, super honored to get to have this conversation and for you guys get to listen to what she's going to share with all of you today. We're going to actually be talking about how you know that you found the right person for the job when you're interviewing. And you are such an expert at this, Shelli. I just am so excited to have this conversation with you.
Well, I feel the same way about you. So does Natalie and the entire BizChix team, who many of them have met you multiple times over the years. And we all adore what you do. And we just love sending people over to you and to your podcast. I feel like there's this incredible synergy between the BizChix community and the Sales Maven community. There's so much love and respect for the women in both of those communities that it's just wonderful to be a part of both.
Well, I love everything about what you guys are doing. And I have had the great privilege of being in one of your masterminds where you were the leader and getting to learn from you in that capacity, and also getting to see you on stage multiple times. I've been on your podcast. You've interviewed me on your podcast, and we just have had this ability. I think for me, I tell this story years ago where when I went to BizChix, I had my Strive 5 list, and you were on my Strive 5 list. Like, I just wanted to meet Shelli Warren, and I wanted to get to know you with no intention of like having, done anything. I just wanted to get to know you. And I remember we were on the boat. We went out on a cruise one night for the BizChix thing. And Shelli was having conversations with some ladies. And I kind of went and made my way into this circle. I was so nervous to get to meet you, but I feel like we connected over, we were talking about getting your hair blown out because I hate blow drying my hair. And you were saying, anyway, that's how we first connected, I think.
But the fun part about that moment was the minute you started talking, I turned to you and I said, "Oh my gosh, you're the Sales Maven." And then you go, Yes, I am, because I'd heard you on other podcasts, and I'm such a visual person and I'm such an audio person. I always remember a face and I always remember a voice. And so I knew exactly who you were the minute you started to talk. And then it was like an immediate sisterhood, talking all about hair and dry bars and blowout clubs and all those kind of fun things.
All the stuff I have yet to find, a dry bar or a blowout. I feel like I have to move to Canada just so I can go be a part of a dry bar, and they'll go dry my hair for me so I don't have to. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, how are things in Canada? You guys have had...
We're on the right side of the calendar, as we say.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we're moving into spring.
Yes.
So all of the, in most areas of the country, the snow is gone. Now we have water and muck. The river, the mighty St. Lawrence River, which I live on here, is all broken free. All the tankers are starting to run up through the Great Lakes now. So there's no ice as a barrier on the river leading into the Great Lakes. So it's just a wonderful time of year. Spring is, it's one of my favorite times of the year, is because, summer's coming.
Yeah.
And, other than that, we are all, we've all come out of our hibernation. Mm-hmm. We've all taken our winter tires off our vehicles and put our summer tires back on, turned off the steering wheel heater, the seat heaters in the vehicles, and, whipped on the AC. So we're all ready for spring and summer up here in Canada.
I love it. I love it. I was telling Shelli that I woke up, it's mid-April when we're recording this session, and I woke up to snow this morning here in Boise. I was not expecting snow mid-April, but here we are, and I'm kind of loving it. It's pretty fun, but so I'm ready for spring too, though. I'm definitely ready for spring. All right, well, let's dive in. Let's talk about this idea of interviewing. I know this is such an area of expertise for you. You have, I think, such a keen ability to attract. What you say in your podcast, right? You absolutely know how to hire, fire, and inspire a team. No doubt about it. And I remember when you found Tiffany for BizChix, and most of us who got to work with Tiffany or got to know Tiffany at all have just been in awe of what an incredible hire she has been for the organization, and to watch her continue to elevate in the group. But just when you brought her in, we were all like, Shelli Warren, how did you ever do this? So my first question is, if I were to stand in for you for a day, so I get to be you for a day, what would I have to do and or think when I am going into an interview in order to find the right person for the job?
Well, the first thing is you have to know what you want. I think it's a real hang up for people who are starting to build out a team. They have this idea of what help would look like to them within their small business. However, they haven't put the time in to really build out a concrete plan for what will this person be doing? What value are they going to be adding to the business? Because oftentimes, especially in the small business world, people know that they're bogged down with these to-do lists or tasks that they just keep, flipping out to the next month. And then suddenly it's 2 quarters have gone by and they haven't been able to get, move that forward at all. And so they think, I just need someone to come in and take care of this. But what they end up getting themselves into trouble is they create this job posting that looks like a laundry list, that isn't attracting anyone other than people who are desperate and looking for some kind of a job. And so what we end up happening is we have these mediocre candidates that apply and come to your job interviews. And you know it when you walk in that this is not a good fit, but you'll tell yourself a story. Look, I just need somebody in here. She's kind of got what I'm looking for. I can work with her. I think I can train her. Let's bring her in. And then ultimately what ends up happening is you become disappointed with their output, which can lead to anger and then resentment. And then we're now in a real broken relationship. So the first thing I like to do when we work with our clients is to get them to really stop and think, regardless of how rushed they feel or how overwhelmed they feel, they need to create time to not only put a like map out what it is that they're looking for, but also visualize this person. Like get an idea in your mind about what it would be like to work alongside this new person that you're bringing into the team, and start to get really excited about seeing visions in your head of more white space on your calendar, to-do lists that literally only have 3 things on it. Visualize yourself giving them acclamations for all the incredible work that they're being able to do and take care for you. So it's understanding, what is it that you really are looking for?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's say that that's been done, like all the prep, the person is totally ready. Or if I'm standing in, you're totally ready. Like I'm getting to be Shelli. I'm very clear on what I want, what the expectations are for this person. And I get into the interview with them. What happens when you start to get a sense of like, this is the one? What is that like for you when you just know, like, I think this is my person? What happens, or what lets you know that you found that person?
Well, a couple things is, one, you want to start by having someone else in the room with you. You always want to do an interview with someone else, a trusted peer, a colleague, someone on your team, ideally who's going to actually be working with this individual, because you want a second opinion. You want a different point of view. And you want this other individual, especially if they're going to be working together as an extended team, you want this secondary person to feel a level of ownership for this new person's success. And that starts in the interview. It starts in selecting who this person is going to be that comes and joins the team. So you want to double up, and you want to be able to compare. What did you see? I saw this. Oh, really? I didn't. Oh my gosh, she did say that. That totally went over my head. Like, you want to have all those conversations with the other person in the room with you. And it's also great for the candidate, for them to meet 2 people from your business instead of just one, and to have 2 people asking questions instead of just one. So how I know that I'm really like, wow, I think this person might be a great fit. I literally start to feel excited. Like, I can feel my body getting excited. I get goosebumps. Like right now, I have chills all through my back and my shoulders, just thinking about it. And why that happens to me is because I can vision them in the business. Like, I literally have like a video reel that runs by my eyes where I can see them interacting with other people on the team. I picture what they would be like face to face with clients. I see them, head down, really crafting an asset for the business that really adds value to my head just rolls with all the things that I could see them doing. And I still have goosebumps running along the back of my shoulders right now, just still even talking about it. So I trust the sensations that I'm getting with my body. And I also trust the level of excitement that I have, because believe you me, Nikki, I've been in interviews where I have shut the interview down in less than 10 minutes. And I did this back in my corporate days as well, because I can sense this person is not a fit. And then I'm questioning, how did they get this far through the process? Why am I even wasting their time? Why am I wasting my time with this individual? They're not a good fit at all. So and I think a lot of it comes over just years and years and years of interviewing, Nikki. It's like the 10,000 hours. Like, yes. when you put that much time into making significant decisions on where the business is going to go based on the capability of the team, it's a huge decision. I take it incredibly seriously. And so I'm always looking to see the future. I want to be able to forecast the future with this individual. Even if they're coming in part-time, I'm also thinking, could this person roll into a full-time role? What are the secret skills that are here that could also add value? Because that's one of the things that we really pride ourselves here at BizChix is every single person that we've hired, they've evolved. The person has evolved and the role has evolved. And there's a reason for that. It's because in the interview process, I can see their future potential. Like, I could see other opportunities within the business that they might be a fit for. And if I see they're curious about it and they're a continual learner and they're crushing their anchor skills, then I'm definitely going to look at what comes next for cross-training skills. And then how do we elevate them even more into value add skills? So that's all that's going on in my head, like the whole time I'm doing these interviews. But for someone that's new to interviewing, the one thing I want to assure you of is you are going to be so much more confident coming into an interview when you know what it is you're looking for, right? We're not looking for a warm body. We're looking for someone who's going to come in and add value to the business. And one of the things in the leadership lab and that they hear me say all the time is no more mediocre team members. It's over. Like the minute they come into the leadership lab, they're a new leader. Like they're a new style of leader. They're becoming this new up-leveled leader. And that type of leader does not deserve nor have time for mediocre team members. It's all about bringing in high-performing people so that the business can move forward with less and less and less and less time of the CEO.
I think there's so many gold like nuggets of things that you said. So I just want to comment on a couple of them. So in case the audience is picking up these as well, or maybe they'll have seen or heard ones that I didn't comment, that I won't comment on. But one is this idea of when you talked about having a really clear visual of all the things this person was going to do, like what's it going to be like when they interact with clients? What's it going to be like when they're creating some asset for the business? And like really kind of playing that out in your mind, that is super powerful. I don't think I would have ever even thought about that. So thank you for that, because that gives me a whole different perspective during an interview. If you can't see that person in those roles, or, there's like something's going on there. Now, if you're not a high visual, like that isn't a real strong modality for you, there should be some other way that you can imagine them in the role. So, but not being able to, that's a problem. So that's a good indicator of like, maybe this isn't the right person. I love that you pointed out how important it is to have a second person in the room with you during the interview so that you can bounce back and forth of like, oh, I didn't hear that. Or, oh, that was like, here's what I got away from, took away from this. And then looking for, like, what are some of their other skills? And you talked about, I don't have your term, Shelli, so help me, but it was like, what were their core skills? And then did they show interest in other things? Because I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we're so used to doing everything that we just want to pile everything onto somebody else so that we don't have to do it. But if that isn't interesting to them, I don't know that that's in the best interest of your business.
Yeah. So in the leadership lab, one of the core concepts that clients learn is skill stacking. And so what I mean by that is you hire someone because you need their anchor skills, because you're scaling the business, right? You need to scale the business. So you need more than one person. So if you run a dental practice, you need a number of dental hygienists. That's their anchor skill. Okay. So then you're bringing these people in. So you're looking in the interview to see their level of competency within the modalities of being a great dental hygienist. So once you bring them in, you're now in the interview, you're starting to think about, well, how we run our businesses, we have this foundation of anchor skills, but in order to be incredibly agile, we need to do cross-training. And so there would be a path forward, and this is like all the things I teach in the leadership lab, but there'd be a path forward to how those individuals move past and beyond their anchor skills and start to get opportunities for cross trainings based on their interests and their curiosity and the compelling needs of the business, right? So if some dental hygienists want to learn more about billing and billing codes and how like the back end of the dental practice runs in terms of being compliant with all our codes, we're not going to have, 11 dental hygienists learn to cross-train on that. No, we're going to selectively choose a few people and move them into the realm of getting educated about billing within the dental practice. And that way they could literally take over for someone who's on vacation, or if someone calls in sick, or, there's more flexibility, there's more agile there when you start to introduce cross-training. And then there would become a point in time as that dental hygienist who, if the business needs someone to become a billing specialist, because of the influx, the wait list, the amount of people that are literally flowing through your practice, then you would selectively train and educate someone to become a billing specialist. And therefore, they're not, they maybe have a hybrid. So they're doing so many hours a week as a dental hygienist. The rest of the time, they're being a billing specialist, meaning front facing with the client as they come in through the practice at the front door, helping them set up their insurance, taking credit card payments, doing all those kind of things, including helping them work within their insurance boundaries to help them be more cost effective with the healthcare that they need, right? So you come in as a dental hygienist and there's opportunity, right? That's what you want to create in your business. Someone comes in with an incredible anchor skill that you need in order to scale your business, but you also want to provide them a storyline and a path forward where they can grow a career, right? So much more than a job. We want to offer careers. And so when you're in an interview process, you're looking to see, does this person have what it takes? Like, is she showing interest? Does she have the integrity? Does she have the characteristics of someone that we would want to cross trade and move out into, like knowing more about our money here at the business? Or, like you start to look for those kind of things right in the interview process. And, oftentimes I will just like fire out like a random question, just looking to see if they consider this a career or a job.
Do you have a question that you normally use for that?
Well, what I like to ask people is, what's your definition of a career? Like when you decided you were going to, go to school and get this degree, or you decided that you wanted to over time build out this particular skill set within the industry, what did you think a career was going to look like for you? Can you describe to me what a career is? And as they tell their story, it will become very clear if they have aspirations. Because the other things you want to know is, do they have aspirations of opening their own spa? Do they want to open up their own clinic? Are they looking to break free from your law firm and start their own law firm? Like, these are all good things to know in the interview. It's not a detriment that they have aspirations, and it's actually motivating, because you can then become, give them great foundational skills. And we all know people, Nikki, who have decided, especially during this pandemic, to strike out on their own and then crash and burn because they don't realize what it takes to lead a business. And so oftentimes they end up crawling back and asking for their jobs back.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you also talked about, and this is kind of, I'm going a little bit off, but that's my show, so I'm going to, going off the page here. But you also talked about the leadership lab, that this idea is that you're bringing people in and you're creating a new type of leader, that it's no more settling for mediocre employees, that this really is a skill set that they're learning being in the leadership lab, is how to lead a team. And so I wonder, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but I think about this because I heard you talk about this on stage years ago, and I have brought it up and I think about it. And it's one of those, like, I have a lot of people, like certain people that they say something that really sticks with you. This one stuck with me, and I have recalled it so many times. And I always think, ooh, Shelli Warren taught me that. Oh, that's a Shelli Warren thing. Is that in leadership, but maybe in all areas of your life, there's a difference between being kind and being nice. Do you remember talking about this on stage? And I think in an interview process and in a leadership role, and really just in life, I think this distinction, the way you described it, was so profound for me. And I'm wondering if you would share it with the audience.
Sure. And I have something that is the Nikkiism. That's something that I recall all the time. One thing that you taught me, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute here. But this is something that I learned throughout my corporate career. As a woman who leads, I found myself having these realizations that in order to be respected and feel like you're integral to who you are as an individual, we have to stop being nice. Like, I think too many women are conditioned to just be nice. I mean, that was my total upbringing in a nutshell. I was raised to be nice. And that has all kinds of undercurrents that flow underneath that. But as a leader and as a female leader, I like to coach people to stop being nice and start being kind. And what I mean by kind is being kind enough to be transparent with these individuals, kind enough to guide them back onto the course properly, kind enough to place guide rails so that they can move forward on their own. But when they feel like they're bumping up into a guardrail, that they know they can safely get back into their lane. So it's that whole idea of you're not doing anyone any kind of service by just being nice to them. Like, they don't need friends. They have friends. They don't need family. They have a family. Like, this whole idea of, oh no, my team's like a family. No, they're not. You're not going to cut a check to a team member for a down payment on a house. You're not going to take your team members' children for 2 weeks every summer because you just love them so much and you can't, I mean, you're just dying to take them all camping. Like, these kind of things don't happen. Like, this is your work team.
Yes.
And then you have a family, and they don't need friends. They have lots of friends, and some of their coworkers can become chummy and you can become pals with them as well. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you are their leader, and they need you to be kind enough to coach them so that they can be the best version of who they are. And sometimes that means hosting what I like to call adult conversations and uncomfortable conversations, and providing uncomfortable feedback and being there to help to hold the space for them while they process that feedback. And also, giving grace to people who that are going through a particularly tough time outside of work. So it's that whole idea of stop thinking that you have to be the nice girl and always pleasant and always concerned about what people think of you and always concerned about having people like you. What you want to have is people consider you to be fair, right? You want them to feel approachable and fair, and that they can rely on you to give them the really, reallys. And that's how you be kind in the work world.
I think that is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think about it a lot, that I can default to nice when in actuality, kind is one of my core words. Like, I try to do everything from a sense of kindness. And it was almost like hearing you talk about it. It gave me permission that sometimes being kind means being kind enough to say to somebody, that's not okay. We have boundaries. And being nice would be like, oh, no worries, no problem. Yeah, no, it's fine that you just stepped all over me. So it was it was like, I feel like it was one of those like aha moments, but also a moment of a new level of maturity for me is to understand the difference between being nice and being kind.
Well, one of the things that has always stuck with me that I learned from you, Nikki, is and I'm almost like fanatic over this now, but I am very conscious, very aware of how many times I use the word I, and I learned that from you. I am so meticulous about my emails and about any copy that I write, whether it's internal or external communications. I literally am counting I's and then I flip them. But now, because it's just part of how I write now, I don't even have to check anymore. Like, I've learned that skill to reduce the number of times I say I and I've come up with all different ways of saying things without ever having to use the word I. Yeah. And so now when I listen to people's podcasts, I can't help it. Like, I start there's a countdown. Like, I'm like, there's 1, there's 2. Oh my gosh, she said she's at 16 now. Like, I'm always listening, and I try and coach my own clients to consider that as well. It was a real life skill, I think, that you shared that day, because it's just something I've always taken with me. And there's so much value in communication anyways, and in the written word, and words matter. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that tip. I will never forget it.
Thank you. And I so appreciate that. That's one of those things that once you know it, you can't unknow it. Or at least I'm convinced that that's what it is. Although sometimes I see this from clients where I think, now I know you know this. But then I think of that, I can't think of, I think this is a Chinese proverb where it says, if one knows but does not do, one does not truly know.
Yeah.
You know that? So when I see this from clients and I think, I know you know this. And then I think, well, they must not know it because here they are populating this, email going, Nikki, can you review this email? Sometimes I'll say, would you take another pass at this? It has 15 I statements and 10 sentences. Like take another pass and then I will offer you some feedback.
But see, that's being kind, Nikki. You're being kind enough to offer that developmental feedback. And your whole intention is to ensure that she positions herself to the level that she wants to be.
Yes.
So you're helping her get there by being kind enough to point these things out to her.
Yes. Yes. That's for those of us who coach. I think that is a really important distinction is to remember. I do know that my job is to point things out in a kind way so that others can continue to elevate and scale their business in the way they want to as well. So love that. Okay. So back to this interview, when we found the right person, is there anything in particular that you do in the interview process that helps you kind of get there? Because I know you said like sometimes you'll end an interview in 10 minutes because this is not the right person. But is there anything in particular that you do in the interview as Shelli that helps you get there, that this is the right person? Is there any action or any goal or anything that's going on?
Yeah, well, I'll give you a little insider tip.
Okay.
So as I'm listening in an interview, if I'm asking the question or my colleague is asking the question, when I'm listening to this individual's answer, I have three things in mind. CAR, which spells the word car.
Okay.
I am looking to hear the circumstance. And then I'm listening to hear the action this individual took. And then I'm listening to hear the results. So on my blank piece of paper, when I'm interviewing somebody, all you're seeing is all these C's, A's, and R's. And I'll put the bullet point beside it of what the story was so that I can recall it. Because too often people come into an interview and you ask them a question and they start to tell the story, which is fine. But I'm looking to find out what was the premise? What was the pain point? What was the constraint? What was the defect? Like, tell me the thing that wasn't working for either a person, a process. It doesn't even really matter, but just like, tell me what wasn't working. And then tell me what you did. Because I find too many people come into an interview and they'll tell what the outcome was or what the next steps were. And then I'll say, but what part of that did you lead? Because they're really telling you this story about how a team effort or a group of people solved, rode in and saved the day. Yeah. But what I'm looking at is, tell me what you did. And then they'll say, well, I did this part. And then I'll say, well, why did you choose to step in and do the heavy lifting over there, as opposed to, taking the ownership of this piece of the problem solving? So I'm just keep digging, because I'm trying to hear, did they step up and take on a piece of this problem? Or did they sit back and watch the team do it? And then you're, telling me this glory story where you really didn't have a part to play in it. And how you can really discern the level of interaction this person had in this problem is by how they tell you the results. So if the results is, oh yeah, we got it solved, it was all good, we just moved on to the next day. And I'd be like, okay, well, wait. So tell me what was different about today versus the day that you originally stumbled upon the problem. So I almost turn into this like detective where I'm really trying to find evidence that this individual is self-aware. So they understand their own skill sets, their own opportunity areas, their own strengths, and where they may have even let the team down. And then I'm also looking for some humility. Like I'm looking for them to hear, I want to hear stories about things like, and then John came up with this fabulous idea. Like I want to hear them rally around their team and who really was the brilliance here. And then I want to hear the results, because I want to hear, how did the team feel afterwards? How did it impact the business? How did the client feel afterwards? Did this become standard work, like a standard operating procedure? Did this become part of your, how your philosophies and the methodologies and the methods that you use at the business now? I'm looking for a whole story, not just little bits and pieces. And so using CAR will help you literally weave through the storytelling, because let's be honest, some people can tell a great story and some people can't, and that's okay. But what you're looking for is the C and the A and the R, and that will give you confidence to help visualize if this person will be a great fit for you in your business. Will they be able to problem solve because they're self-aware, they have a level of humility, they have enough confidence to see a problem and then want to fix the problem versus come to you with the problem and just want to like lob the problem onto your lap, right? Like these are the kind of things that you're looking for in the interview. And then you're also looking for can they lead? Can they lead? And it doesn't have to be, can they lead people? Can they lead a project? Can they lead a problem-solving activity? Can they lead a group gathering? Can they lead a client through a transformation? Like you're looking like, can they lead? And can they lead themselves? Which is one of my favorite questions to ask them is, tell me about what's the most recent thing that you've learned and how did you learn it? Because what I don't want to hear is, well, I just went to YouTube and watched it. I don't really want to hear that. I want to hear more than that.
Well, I think you just gave us another one of those like brilliant Shelli moments, the CAR, circumstance, action, results. That's fantastic. No, I've never heard that before. That is so phenomenal in the interview process, and to have these questions that will help you discern, is there a CAR in the story? I love that. It's so powerful. Okay. So as we kind of wrap up this part, is there anything I haven't asked you about? You found the right person for the job when interviewing. Well, I'm going to ask you one more question and then anything else you want to add to it. But how do you know it's time to end the interview because you have found the right person?
Well, you want to have a set number of questions. So for your next best hire, which is our digital course that we have here at BizChix, I created a list of compelling interview questions. And then I created a list of more compelling interview questions, because I know that when we're doing hiring, you're looking for, there's certain types of roles that you're really wanting to interview for. And I feel that there really should be a secondary set of interview questions that you would use for a second interview, or even the CEO. Like when your team serves up to you who they think their top 2 picks are, then the CEO would host her own interview with this individual. So I wanted to create a set of questions that she could use for that interview scenario. Or if you were even doing you and a colleague and you were wanting to offer a second interview, that it like up levels the conversation, up levels the storytelling, just up levels the sense of confidence, whether or not this person would be a fit for you. So there's 2 types of questions that I like to present for people. And so what you want to do is you want to decide beforehand, which of these are we going to ask? You don't have to ask all 10. Let's decide right now before the person gets here, based on the role that we have opening right now, which of these questions are really going to get to the heart of the matter. And then you're going to say, okay, I'm going to ask these 3, you ask these 3. And then once those 6 questions are asked and you're feeling like you got what you needed, then the last question, always the last question in any interview that you should be asking anyone is there anything else that you didn't have a chance to share with us? Because that's when those people are going to say, well, yeah, we really didn't talk about this, but I have a real passion for graphic design. I'm such a visual person. I'm all about people's logos. I'm all about the brand visuals. I'm all about the presence, the online presence, and even the atmosphere within a workplace. Like I notice those things. When I walk into a workplace or I walk into a retail store, I'm always noticing how is this designed and styled? And do I feel comfortable here? So, I mean, those are the kind of things that are like, oh, wow, secret skills. So this individual has an eye for these things. Like maybe one thing he could do was we could literally like have him go through all our marketing collateral or go through our website and just give us some insights on that. And that can become a paid trial, right? So you're bringing this person on as, say you're hiring a copywriter or you're hiring, like you're hiring a junior chiropractor, and he's just told you in your interview that he has this thing for visuals. So one of the things you might want to add to his 5-hour work plan as he's coming in is to just say, I'd love to give you a couple hours this week for you to just peruse our marketing materials and our marketing collateral on our website, and then put together a list of suggestions that you think we could really improve.
Brilliant.
Well, then the person goes, oh, wow, I really have chosen the right place to work because they're looking at all of me. Yes, I have anchor skills and I'm a chiropractor. And that's why I'm being hired, because their wait list is ridiculous and they have a lineup of people every day trying to get in here. So I know my calendar is going to be full and I'm going to have my own treatment room and I'm going to come in, I'm going to treat these people and I'm going to be a game changer for them in terms of their health. And I have this creative side. And she's recognized that I have that. So she's going to let me have a point of view as a new hire, like as a new doctor coming into this practice. I'm going to have a point of view about how we position ourselves in our local community. Like it's just such a delightful way to have that new person be affirmed that this is the place where they need to be.
That is another just incredible way to end that part of the interview and to ask that question and then look for how can you maximize that skill. Are there any rules like in your mind, kind of rule of thumb, like you should interview a certain number of people or you should have a certain number of interviews once you found a potential candidate, 2 or 3 or whatever? Do you have any of that type of stuff when you're like, okay, I think I found the person, but I got to do my due diligence now? Any of those key things that you would add there?
Sure. Well, I think there should always be a pre-screening interview, and that can be done literally on the phone. And you're asking 3 questions. What compelled you to apply for this role? What are your compensation expectations? And when would you be available for work? It's like a 10-minute conversation, 15-minute max. Someone on your team can do this for you, and you'd be collecting all this data. And this will help you immediately know, do I want to invite this person for a first interview? Because you're understanding, you will hear, well, I'm in between jobs right now and I just need something. You might hear that answer. Or you might hear the answer that says, oh my gosh, I read your job interview and I swear you wrote it for me. And I'd love to tell you, and here's why. And they kind of tell you a few things. The compensation expectations is one of those moments where you can say to yourself, wow, that doesn't even fit into the range that we're offering here. Or that's so below the range that we're offering here. Like it's just 2 great pieces of data to have to decide whether you want to bring that person for an interview. And then the last one, when would you be available for work? This is critical right now because we have people that are, relocating because they're a trailing spouse and, their spouse has decided that they're going to take a new job somewhere. And, the big move is happening a month from now, or they could say, well, I'm waiting for my daughter to enter kindergarten and that will happen in the fall. And it's now April. You need to hear those things before you would decide whether or not you're going to bring them in for a first interview.
Wow. Again, I feel like what you just gave us, that is brilliant. This pre-screening interview of these 3 questions. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. All right. Now we're going to go into the little something extra section about Shelli.
Hit me.
Okay. Here's my first question for you is, what's a guilty pleasure for you?
A guilty pleasure for me, the PBS television station. public broadcasting service and NPR and NPR radio and NPR podcast. I am such a fan of period dramas. And I often find myself reading those kind of books too. And those are my favorite movies. I want to be entertained about a story that does not take place in the era that I'm living in. And I prefer to go backwards, not futuristic. I prefer to go backwards. So, that is like on Sunday nights, like everyone in my family knows, do not phone me, do not text me, just leave me alone. Like from 8 to 11, I am locked in on the PBS channel.
I love to know that about you. Oh, that's so fun. Although I think you might have answered this question, but I'll see if you have a different answer, is what is one thing people would be surprised to learn about Shelli Warren?
Well, probably two things. So one, I'm a New Year's Day baby.
Oh.
And I just turned 60 on New Year's Day this year. Thank you. The other thing is I am incredibly independent, probably to a fault.
Why do you say to a fault?
Because I have difficulty asking for help. It's part of my conditioning as I was raised. So I have difficulty asking for help. So even, having an assistant at BizChix, and now we have, our program assistants, I'm training myself. I literally, I feel like I'm training myself to ask for more things because my go-to stance is to take care of it myself.
Yeah.
Because for many, 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 many years, I prided myself on being the low maintenance person. Mm-hmm. And I had told myself a story that part of my success at P&G was because I rarely asked for anything. And when I did go in and ask for anything, I had a full pitch, a full rationale, as to why I needed this amount of money or why I needed this additional team members, or I was always ready when I went in to negotiate anything. Yeah. And it was so uncommon that it was like, okay, right? Because I wasn't the squeaky wheel. I was never the squeaky wheel. So it's part of the story that you tell yourself. But even at 60, I am incredibly independent.
I love that. I love that about you. Tell us something that's exciting going on in the business right now at BizChix.
Well, we are both. So Natalie's program, 6 Figures Lab, is opening up right now. It's open for applications for a July cohort, and the Leadership Lab as well. So in the Leadership Lab, we only open the doors twice a year, in July and in January. And it's incredible to see the women that apply and the women that we attract into that program. And Nikki, as someone who, we're on the same plane, and when we talk about sales, I am so proud of the renewal rates that we have in the Leadership Lab. It is incredible, the commitment and the camaraderie and the respect and the up-leveled sensibility that those members are bringing to each other in that group. So that is super exciting. And I'm also getting ready. I'm just pulling together a brand new offer for the Leadership Lab. So for anyone who is an alumni of the Leadership Lab or a former graduate or former one-to-one client, I have a new offer that is a hybrid of that program and one-to-one coaching. It's and you would be impressed with this too, but I hosted a focus group. I literally hosted a focus group. And I just said, I asked them, because I'm really good at asking questions, but I asked lots of questions and they just told me all the things. And so then I listened and just kept asking more questions, and then went and thought about it. What really could I package together for them to really create a wonderful experience for them? And so I did. So I'm getting ready to share that with the world. But the other really exciting thing that we have going on in the business is we're starting to meet our clients in person again. I mean, now the team, we have not been together since November 2019. And been so hard because for every quarter I was going down for at least a week at a time. And then it was just like cold turkey. We weren't seeing each other. So, and same for clients. So Natalie hosted one in-person meetup in Nashville already. There's another one coming. And then for the Leadership Lab, we're introducing retreats again. So these are 2-day retreats where people are going to come in, one day structured, the second day flowy, because, I'm all about the flow, but all, be there to be able to, look, whatever looks like help to them that day. But it's really forcing them to pull out of the business, to go work on the business while they're wrapped in luxury and also surrounded by these peers that they're just so inspiring and that they've built these relationships with because they've been together virtually. But here's an opportunity for them to come back in person. And the other fun thing about that is many of our clients have been with us for a long time. So they have met together in person, like at other events and stuff. But we've had this hiatus because of the pandemic. And so we are so excited to see people in person again. And we're just so happy to be able to bring women together in that kind of, and have that kind of experience.
I have been, had the great pleasure of attending a few of your retreats and your live events. They're incredible. So many amazing connections. Like realistically, some of the people, the best relationships that I have formed came as a result of being a part of BizChix. And you guys really do attract incredible people. So if you want more information on the Leadership Lab with Shelli or the 6-Figure Lab with Natalie, you can get that on the website, bizchix.com. They're both information's up there. But so here's my next question. My last question for you is, how can people connect? Somebody who's listening right now, what's a good way for them to get in touch with you? How do you like people to connect with you?
Well, they can connect with me on Instagram, where I'm at Stacking Your Team Podcast. And of course, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn, where I'm Shelli with an I, L for LinkedIn, Warren. I'd be happy to connect with you there as well. And we introduced a BizChix company LinkedIn page this year that we're pretty excited about as well. So you can always connect with anyone on the team there for sure. And I also want to be able to help your audience feel more confident going into these interviews. I want to arm them with some really solid interview questions. So if they go to bizchix.com/interview, they can get those more compelling interview questions. And they'll be able to walk in to an interview knowing that they can present themselves in a manner that they had hoped for, and that they won't be stumbling around, and they won't be, they'll just feel so much more prepared because they have these rock solid questions. And these questions are just going to become normal for you. You are going to use these questions over and over and over again anytime you're looking to hire. So just head on over to the website. It's bizchix.com/interview and grab your copy and get stacking your team.
Yes. That is incredibly generous that you're willing to share those questions, because I know that that's something that's normally kept for the Leadership Lab. It's part of your group program. So go get those, because Shelli does have the best questions. She truly is such a master when it comes to hiring, firing, inspiring team, and so many other skill sets that you have. I know in your bio, you talk about how you know how to say the right thing in delicate situations. That is so true. That is so true about you. I mean, I feel like it's that sentence, and let's amplify it, because you're so incredible with language and the way that you can position a comment and or a question to somebody that really brings out and gets to the heart of the matter. One of your
that's just one of those things you learn over the years. But my clients love it. I mean, that's one of their favorite things about the Leadership Lab is they always can say, how do I say it? Right. I even introduced a brand new episode every month on the Stacking Your Train podcast called Ask Shelli How to Say It. And those episodes that drop the last week of every month, these are real dilemmas, like real dilemmas that are happening within our community. And I use them as examples to help people, literally giving them the script. I'm literally telling them what to say and what they should be listening for and how to put that together if they answer this way. And so it's because I'm all about, I want more women to lead and move into these leadership roles. And I want them to be incredibly comfortable while they're there. Yes. And so anything that we can do to help shore up their needs and fill any gaps, I think that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, for sure. And you're doing it a big time for the women in the group. So I love it. Thank you so much for being here, Shelli. I'm just so honored. And for you, the listener, I hope that you got a lot out of this interview with Shelli. She's really incredible. So be sure to connect with her. And if we haven't connected yet, I tend to hang out also on Instagram and on LinkedIn. So I'd love to hear from you as a listener. What was your takeaway from this episode today? What did you get out of this? Did you go get the questions or, did you write down the card? Did you write down the 3 questions that Shelli gave us for pre-screening interview? And who's your next hire? I'd love to hear from you. So please reach out. Thank you so much for being here. Shelli, thanks for being here. And thanks for the listeners. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you, Nikki. Keep doing what you're doing. You're having such a ripple effect across the world with all these women that you're touching. I'm just so happy to know you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's an honor. I appreciate it. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.